Well, Mark and Lori, Boeing hasn't even committed to building the new jet yet, but Governor Inslee, the State Department of Commerce, and now the companies that make up the so-called supplier base, both in the state and around the region, are ramping up to build the NMA in Washington. The very first Boeing 777X is getting much closer to actually rolling out of the factory, and it took a lot to win the program, including the state of Washington extending billions in tax incentives to beat out other states fighting for one of the biggest prizes in aerospace. But what about the next airliner? For now, it's called the NMA for New Mid-Sized Airplane. Washington's in the Pacific Northwest growing base of companies that supply parts and services are working to build the NMA here. Kelly Maloney is with AFA, the Aerospace Futures Alliance.
You know, common sense says that we have to work as hard as we can to make sure it happens, but we're in a good position.
Washington and the Pacific Northwest, even including parts of Canada, form an aerospace cluster, but will have more and more competition, says Michelle Merluzeau of Air Insight Research.
So I think this is going to be a much tougher competition, especially since it is my analysis that Boeing is going to have very aggressive cost targets for this airplane.
Now, what happens at the Pacific Northwest Aerospace Cluster now has its own publication, the new Northwest Aerospace News magazine, published out of Spokane, which talks about the breadth of this industry. And today, the NMA hired, the NMA Council, as the governor calls it, hired an analyst and consultant, Richard Abalafia, to handicap the state's chances. A report that's due out late in April. Back to you guys.